Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 3 of the 2024-25 World of Outlaws Pro Series, powered by iRacing. We head to Williams Grove Speedway with the late models for the second chance to see these drivers shine in the late models, as we just came from the sprint cars 1 week ago. Tim, Terry, Ashton Smythe here to call all the action for you and bring you through the evening. And Ashton, we saw a very exciting feature last week. We look forward to the late models for what is the second time this season.
Yeah, 2 exciting weeks already down, and looking forward to Williams Grove tonight. But keep in mind, Tim, 3 races have already happened for these drivers to get in, and wow, they were nothing short of exciting either, because keep in mind this year the qualifying, how you make it into the 35 driver field tonight is a little bit different than it's been in weeks past. So Tim, why don't you walk us through how these drivers qualify for this event?
You hit the nail on the head, Ashton. 3 races to qualify in on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, on all of those evenings, where we take the top 35 in combined points and put them into the show, and they have an opportunity to qualify on Monday evening. And it's open to all A-class drivers with the Dirt Oval license. You can get in and have an opportunity to race with us on Monday evening. Qualifying points are awarded based on strength of field and finishing positions, and the highest 35, as we mentioned, locked in to the Pro Series. And after this evening's race, the driver roster is reset. So you have an opportunity beginning tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern to qualify for Lincoln Speedway coming up next week on the schedule. So it's difficult for some of these drivers, Ashton. We're starting to see some familiar faces. We're starting to see some championship contenders, but it's going to go out through this schedule, which includes Lincoln Speedway next week.
Yeah, lots of racing still left this season, including we're back in the sprint cars next week at Lincoln Speedway, followed by Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55 with the late models for a 50-lap feature. Then we take the sprint cars to Knoxville Raceway before we take 2 weeks off for the holiday break, and then back January 6th in the sprint car with a racetrack that is to be announced. Fairbury American Legion Speedway with the late models on January 16th. Elmora Speedway after that, back in the sprint cars last race, the 2024-2025 sprint car race on the 20th, and then to cap off the year, the dirt track at Charlotte in the late models for 50 laps on January 27th. So if you have that A-class license, get out on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights to come race with us on Monday nights.
And tonight's program, we're going to lock in the top 8 through qualifying. They are just completing that qualifying session. That will have results in just a few moments' time. The top 8 that do not make it into the feature directly through qualifying will run heat races, 8 laps each, taking the top 3. Last chance showdowns, 12 laps each, taking the top 2. And then the feature is 35 green flag laps. We do not have caution periods in the heats and the LCSs, so they are going to go by fairly quickly as the final couple of moments completing in this qualifying session to lock in the top 8. And Ashton, once we have those top 8, we will invert them for the feature.
Yeah, exactly. You just said it. So you will get the pole position, but you have to start all the way back in the field in 8th, and we've seen that alone cause lots of shakeups this season. Logan Rumsey last week qualified on pole, started back in 8th, and had a rough start to the feature. Ended up finishing farther back in the field than what he would have liked with a 19th place finish. But speaking of, let's take a look at the points. These are the qualifying results. Evan C., top of the board, runner-up from this race last year with the late models. Robbie Buchanan Jr., second fastest. Logan Rumsey, third. Hayden Tolson, third. Ryan Avila in 5th. Chase Barbara, 6th. Stephen Gaines, 7th. JD Brown, 8th. And then we will see Blake Majulis and Scott Fritz, who just missed that great 8 from qualifying in heat races, in just a couple moments.
Tolson, new name for us when it comes to this World of Outlaws Pro Series. We take a look at the championship points after 2 races, and I believe this may include qualifying as well. Blake Majulis, Kendall Tucker, Logan Rumsey, 1 point back. Mike Augustine, JD Brown, your top 5, and you can see where your favorite driver is as we get ready to go racing momentarily as heat race number 1 begins to roll onto the grid, and we're going to see the first 3 drivers to lock their way in through a heat race session. In just a few moments' time, we will let those drivers loose.
Yes, we will. Drivers getting ready to rip, and Tim, I don't know if you touched on it earlier. They have a couple laps to warm up to see how they're feeling before they roll out. But let's get started right into it. Heat race number 1 from the pole position, Blake Majulis, and on his outside, Casey Brunson. Row number 2 is Aiden Forster and Kendall Tucker. Row 3 to the inside, Trey Mills in the 14 machine and Austin Missler in the 4 car. Row 4, Cody Neven on the inside and Tyler Orr will start on the outside, and rounding out starting shotgun for this heat race, Tanis Whitmire in the 101 machine. Tim, what a lineup we have for this first heat race. You see lots of stars and some new guys as well who are running with the Pro Series for the first time. Let's talk about Blake Majulis, the driver rolling off from the pole position. Just barely missed that great 8. Sits top of the points charts right now and has had such strong finishes here. Actually picked up the win here last year, so keep your eye on that 127 machine.
I've got my eye on Aiden Forster. This is the first time we've seen Aiden Forster this season, but he is your 2022-2023 World of Outlaws Sprint Car Champion here on iRacing, making his first start of the season. As beautiful day to go racing in the sim as Majulis and Brunson. Casey Brunson, new name for us this season on the Pro Series side of things. Mistler in the 4, Cody Neven in the 34, and Tanner Whitmire at the back of the field. So 9 cars in heat race number 1. And you can see what we are looking at this evening, Williams Grove, and next time by, we'll see that green flag from Barney.
8 laps, the distance for these drivers. Block their way into the feature later on tonight. Everyone else will have to go to the LCSs. 50 laps on the docket for later on tonight, and these drivers are ready to rip.
3 drivers will make their way in through heat race number 1. Majulis, Brunson, and Forster in those transfer spots before we go green. But Kendall Tucker on the outside of row number 2 is going to be one to watch. Kendall Tucker, always a threat when we go racing with the World of Outlaws Pro Series. And Blake Majulis is on it. Heat race number 1 is underway as they come down the front straightaway.
Great start from the 127 machine, opting for the high side of the racetrack as they're getting a little crazy for that transfer position right now, but Kendall Tucker is able to take it away. 1, 2, 3, single file, and right behind them, double file, trying to chase down the 00 machine of Kendall Tucker.
Remember, Ashton, no caution periods in these heats and last chance showdowns, so you have to be on it and have to be on it every single moment. The white and green number 20 of Aiden Forster, just out of your shot, is the transfer position. You can see it with the line on your ticker on the left-hand side of your screen as Orr, Mills try to get up to Forster to try to make one more spot so they can get up to Kendall Tucker, who's in the top 3.
Top 3 starting to get comfortable around this racing surface. 3 laps into this 8-lap heat race feature, but they're still tight on each other as we ride with Kendall Tucker in the 00 machine. You can see the gap between him and second place of Brunson is not very much. It gets even tighter there in the corner, and right ahead of him, Majulis. Just 3/10 between the leader of Majulis, second place of Brunson, and third place of Tucker, as Kendall Tucker tries to go the inside to make something happen here, but does not have enough to get it done. 4 laps completed.
And Ashton, what you can't see from this shot is the gap back to position number 4, and it is starting to shrink just a little bit. Aiden Forster, kind of see it off that shot there. Aiden's trying to get up here and make something happen to get a top 3 spot and not have to go to a last chance showdown. As we've seen in the first couple of weeks of this series, those last chance showdowns can get a little bit wild. 5 laps completed, 3 laps to go in heat race number 1, and Blake Majulis continues to hold court. Casey Brunson trying to make his first pro feature of the season, currently in second, but looking to the inside.
3 laps remain this time by, and Brunson is waiting for the opportunity to make that move on Majulis, but he is running out of time. Kendall Tucker right in there, and here comes Forrester trying to make his way into the transfer position, but does he have enough time is the question. Gets a little bit up into the fluff there and loses a little bit on Tucker. Top 3 remain the same, 2 laps to go.
Tyler Orr missed his mark going into turn number 4 that last time. He falls from position number 5 all the way back to the back of the field, but the field will come through corners number 3 and 4 this time. The 10 of Brunson trying to hold on over Tucker, and it's Blake Majulis up in front, going to pick up the checkered flag. Majulis wins heat race number 1. Brunson and Tucker, your top 3, with Forster, Mills, Missler, Whitmire, Nevin, and Orr, your field, as they will complete heat race number 1. And Ashton, it's a familiar face up in front, but Casey Brunson in second is going to make his first World of Outlaws Pro feature.
Yeah, you just said it's kind of the veteran versus the rookie up front, and Casey Brunson was hanging on there with Blake Majulis and Kendall Tucker, those top 3. What an interesting heat race number 1, and that's just the start of the program, so we'll see how this carries into the rest of tonight.
We've got 2 more heat races coming up like that. We'll take the top 3 from each of those and lock them into the feature. Everybody else, and already 1 heat race done, and you've got Aiden Forster going to a last chance showdown and a few others in behind that are going to be chomping at the bit to try to pick up those positions. That is going to be a fun LCS coming up, and I believe, Ashton, you've caught up with Blake Majulis, our heat race winner.
Yeah, Blake Majulis, you just barely missed the qualifying earlier on, but such a strong showing in this heat race number 1. You picked up the win last time the late models were here. Are you confident you can do it again this time around?
It's going to be tough missing that spot for that pole position. It's going to be a little bit tougher starting 9th now, so hopefully just get a good finish at this point and stay out of the carnage.
Well, congratulations on a great run, and we'll see you in the feature.
Thank you.
Blake Majulis, everyone, picked up heat race number 1 win.
And Ashton, we're getting ready for the second of 3 heat races to set the grid for this evening's race at Williams Grove. Round number 3 of the World of Outlaws Pro Series this season. Who is starting in this one?
Scott Fritz will start on the pole position in the 48 machine. Ethan Johnson on their outside. Dylan Hauser will start on the inside of row number 2 with Mike Augustine on his outside. Row 3 is made up of Connor New and Braden Carter. Row number 4 has James Edens in the 52 machine and Adam Elby on his outside. And rounding out the field in row number 5 is Bradley Cox in the 45 machine. Tim, I think it was no surprise to anyone. James Edens starting in row number 4. Wow, that is a big surprise here tonight.
We know his strong suit has been the sprint car. He's been talented in both. You see that purple 52 on the left-hand side of your screen. He's got some work to do to get up here. Our first round of late models back at Volusia, he missed the field. He finished 4th in his last chance showdown that night. Did not make the top 21 to make it into the show. And championship points, very valuable when it comes to not only qualifying these heat races and the feature as well. So these heat races, paying points. You got to get up there. You got to make something happen. Even though we are still trying to make a starting position in the feature, these points, if you want to try to win the championship and the $10,000 that goes with it, you've got to accumulate every point you can.
Every single point matters. You get points from qualifying. You get points from heat races. If you make it into the heat races, then obviously feature points as well. And we saw that battle between the top 3 in points alone is so tight. We're only 3 weeks into this thing, but we still got a lot of racing left. And, you know, the top 3 already being that close is insane. You know, we might see something a little bit later on. One of those guys might not walk in to the Monday night show. So lots of things can happen. Every single point matters this year specifically.
Got a couple of newcomers to this series on round number 3. Scott Fritz, first start of the season, going to start on the pole at heat race number 2. Go back to Connor New, starting in position number 5. And you look back there, there's a few others that have made their start or only made one of the 2 starts. So everybody's fighting for something here as we get ready to come to green. This is heat race number 2. As Scott Fritz and Ethan Johnson going to lead this field to the green flag. Johnson in the 11 has made both features so far this season. We'll see if he can punch his ticket through this heat race. We are underway, and Ashton already pushing and shoving down the front straightaway.
Yeah, a little bit of a rough initial start there, and whoa, trouble in the back half of the field, and wow, this is already getting interesting. The 11 machine to the point. The Two right behind him, right on his tail. Quarter panels banging. It is getting crazy. Johnson, Hauser, Augustine, your new top three as they ride around this paperclip of Williams Grove. Hauser trying to make the outside work, see if he can get something there on Johnson. Not able to get it done. Johnson starting to pull away. Just as I say that, Hauser catches a little bit of him in the corners.
Yeah, that was Scott Fritz that went to the back of the field. Welcome to the show. You're going to the back after starting on the pole of heat race number 2. That's that light blue and black car there on the bottom as he battles with the 45 of Bradley Cox for that position, and Carter not too far up the road from them. With all the excitement, it's moved Mike Augustine into a transfer position. There is another driver, Ashton, that has made both features so far this season, and it's a decent effort last week, looking to get a little bit more out of that 19 car, but struggled a little bit, I think, this week trying to qualify for these shows. Made it in was the important thing. Now you've got to make it in to the feature coming up.
James Eden with the 12th and 2nd place run so far this year. Mike Augustine, as we ride on board with Connor New, who is right outside of that transfer position as they go side by side in front of him. Wow, getting crazy up there, the two to the extreme high side. Look and see if he can make something happen. There are 5 laps remain.
We're starting to see some of the racing that we saw in some of the qualifying races earlier this week, Ashton, where everybody's kind of gravitating towards the middle to the top of the racetrack as this racetrack continues to get worked in. James Edens, you see the purple number 52 down to the bottom side, trying to make something happen on Connor New and Mike Augustine. And we're starting to see that, though, as this racetrack gets worked in. I'm going to be very intrigued to see what Tyler does if we do get a rework before the feature later on this evening, that being 50 laps in length. Battle for position number 2 continues to heat up. Dylan Hauser and Mike Augustine as they are on the white flag lap, final lap, and it's getting close between those drivers as they get ready to come to the checkered flag this time. Hauser on the back bumper of Ethan Johnson. Johnson in the 11, looking pretty sporty at a turn number 4 and comes to the checkered flag first. He'll win heat race number 2 with Dylan Hauser and Mike Augustine punching their ticket into the show. They will go to the feature. Everybody else will go to a last chance showdown, including the Connor New number 15 going to that last chance showdown, and the rest in behind them. These last chance showdowns, Ashton, are starting to get a little bit clogged up with some of that talent trying to make their way into this feature.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, you know, Tim, something we don't talk about a lot is you only take 3 from the heat race. So from this one specifically, Ethan Johnson, Dylan Hauser, Mike Augustine locked in. Connor New finished 4th. James Eden 5th. Adam Elby 6th. Braden Carter 7th. Scott Fritz 8th. Bradley Cox 9th. Those back half will all be sent to a last chance showdown, stacked up with all those other drivers. And then even from then, only the top 2 advance to the feature. So a long haul for them, but it is not a long haul here for Ethan Johnson in the 11 machine. Picked up the heat race win. Let's talk about that last lap, though. Going through corners 3 and 4, Hauser was right on your back bumper. Tell me what was going through your mind in that moment, knowing you're coming to the checker and you want that win.
I knew we had to get through 1 and 2 decent, just enough to pull him. I knew he was going to try to slide me in 3, so we moved down a block slider and came off home with the win.
Well, there you go. Congratulations on that win. We'll see you in the feature.
Thank you.
Ethan Johnson. Wow, what an exciting heat race number 2 we just saw, Tim. 1 more to go here tonight.
Heat race number 3 set to come to the grid, and we've got some more drivers here that are going to have to get up on the wheel, Ashton, starting with the rock star Dylan Yeager in the 48.
Yep, Tim, you just said it. Dylan Yeager will start from the pole position for heat race number 3. Joey Lindgren on his outside. Row 2 has the 42 machine of Jordan Casey and the 24 machine of Tanner Pettit. Row 3 is Tucker Elkins and Jesse Newsome on his outside. Row 4 sees Caleb Durgan on the inside and Aiden Price on his outside, and starting in the back of this field in row number 5 will be Jesse Enterkin. Tim, we've said it all night. Wow, this is insane. It's really the battles of the veterans versus the rookies, and tonight the rookies are showing up and showing out.
And you look at the front of this field, I had the opportunity to watch the Thursday qualifier, and Joey Lindgren at the end of that feature was able to put his car in places where others couldn't. We kind of got a single lane at the end of their 40-lap qualifier on Thursday, but Joey was the one that was able to kind of make some moves. So I'm intrigued to see what Joey Lindgren can do outside of row number 1 here. First of all, has to punch his ticket into the show, but I think if the racetrack changes a little bit, if we get that rework and it starts to work its way in, I would be very... I'm waiting to see what Joey Lindgren can do with that racetrack.
Yeah, 100%. We've already seen some of these drivers have a little bit of difficulty with this racetrack. Williams Grove being such a tight paperclip, it's hard to maneuver around this racetrack, specifically in a late model. It takes a lot of talent. And I think some of these guys are finding that out really, really fast.
So Dylan Yeager and Joey Lindgren will lead this field of green. Jordan Casey in the 42, trying to make a start here. Qualified for week number 1. Ashton did not start the first week at Volusia, so this is the first time we're seeing Jordan Casey on this side, and then Tanner Pettit trying to make his way into the show, as Pettit was with us last week and took away his first World of Outlaws Pro Series victory. But that was in a sprint car. We will see what the 24 can do in a late model and try to back up what he put on the board last week at Weed Sport. Pace truck is in. This is the third and final heat race of the evening, and Dylan Yeager is on it in the 48. We are green. They're side by side for second.
Dylan Yeager with an amazing start there, and that's exactly what he needs, and he's opting for the high side, still 2 by 2 behind him. Actually, just as I say that, the one machine taking the run off of the 48 and using that to his advantage, and they all picked the low side. Yeager, Lindgren, and Casey, your top 3 right now.
And the 24 at Tanner Pettit on the outside, the black, red, and white number 24 trying to get in to that position. That's the battle to transfer with Casey on the bottom side in the 42 as they continue to run for that final transfer position. Everybody else in behind as you ride on board with Tucker Elkins trying to make his way up through with Newsom right ahead, and then you're going to see that battle for that transfer position. But Elkins, I don't mind the spot he's in right now, Ashton. You're still going to pick off some positions, but the way they're racing up there, you may be able to pick up 1 or 2 here. If you don't get in, at least you're going to get a good start in the last chance showdown.
Yeah, he currently runs 6th right now. The Waynesboro, Kentucky driver chooses the bottom there, and it looks like it's not exactly working for him how he wanted to. He did get to the inside of Newsom, going to lose it there a little bit, trying to catch up to Casey, and therefore Pettit and Yeager starting to lose. Oh, just as I say that, the 8 machine gets loose, gets sent back up to the top, and they're 3 wide in the back half of the field right now.
Price to the bottom, or in the middle in the 49, and then Durgan to the bottom side. They are now battling for the caboose as Enterkin's been able to get by in the hunt to front number 1. Looking at the 87 of Elkins down to the bottom side. We saw Enterkin on week number 1. Didn't get to see him in the sprint car last week, but good to see him back in the late model as you ride on board with Jordan Casey. First driver out right now has got to get up on the wheel and try to pick up 1 more spot. Look at that slider down to the bottom side. Can't get to Pettit.
3 laps to go, and Dylan Yeager is in the spot everyone wants to be in right now. 3/10 lead on the rest of the field. And just as I say that, Joey Lindgren with a great run on the top side, catching Yeager here for the lead. Lindgren on the outside, Yeager to the bottom side, not able to get it done there yet. Yeager still there, crossover by Lindgren. Wow, Tim, this is getting crazy.
Similar to what we saw on Thursday, he can put that car pretty much anywhere and make something happen, but now he's got Yeager back down to the bottom side. Final time through 3 and 4. Lindgren kind of lets him have it a little bit. Yeager goes to the outside. Lindgren cuts that corner off, diamonds it down, but can't get there at the checkered flag. Dylan Yeager is your winner of heat race number 3. Joey Lindgren tried everything that he could to get by and has to settle for second with Tanner Pettit coming home in position number 3. Those 3 will make their way into the feature. Everybody else from that heat race will have to go to a last chance showdown to try and qualify their way in and make their way into the show, including Jordan Casey, Tucker Elkins, Jesse Enterkin, Jesse Newsom, Caleb Durgan and Aiden Price. So these two last chance showdowns that are coming up are going to be very entertaining, where we'll take the top two and move them directly into the show to give us a 21 car starting field for this evening's racing action at Williams Grove. And Ashton, I know you like a good sale. Black Friday is upon us. You don't have much time, only December 2nd, to take a part of these deals.
Yes, I love me a good sale, and there's nothing better than the one that iRacing is happening right now. But like you said, Tim, it's only now through December 2nd, 50% off for all new memberships and 25% off for early renewals and reactivations. So you got to go to iRacing.com to take part in the biggest iRacing sale of the year. You do not want to miss it.
Our third heat race was won by one of the veterans of this series, and good to see this guy back in victory lane in a heat race. Ashton, you caught up with Dylan Yeager.
Dylan Yeager, wow, you guys sure put on a show out there during that heat race. Tell us about what was going through your mind when that battle started heating up between you and Joey at the end there.
I was calling myself an idiot for going to the bottom in 1 and 2 because he got a huge run on me. I don't know what went on in my head there to go to the bottom, but that wasn't it. But, you know, I'm just glad to be running up front here. This isn't one of my better tracks, so just glad to be running well, and we'll see if we have anything for him here in the feature.
Well, congratulations on that win. We'll see you in the feature.
Thank you.
Dylan Yeager, everyone, picked up heat race number 3 win. We're also going to talk now to Evan C., the guy who set the quick time earlier on today. Evan, you always show speed every single time here, but what is it about Williams Grove and the setup you have in Evan C. that just kind of click?
I don't know, really. I'm not a huge fan of this track, but we always seem to run extremely good here in the Pro Series. And I was pretty confident with our Q pace, and just a matter of hitting a line, and we hit it really good there. I kind of wish I wouldn't have hit it that good, so I could, not have to start 8 at the invert. But I feel pretty confident in our race pace also. So, just see how it goes, and try to pick off a few cars in the feature, hopefully, and get back to the front.
All right. Well, we'll see you in the feature.
Yeah, thank you.
Evan C., everyone, and keep in mind, Tim, he will have to start not shotgun, but from the 8th position. And Tim, you see something exciting rolling across your screen right now. I know I've had the opportunity to play the new World of Outlaws Dirt Racing 24 game. But Tim, tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely, Ashton. You get to experience all the different World of Outlaws divisions, different tracks, downloadable content continuing to come out for this. The career mode is probably my favorite when it comes to the World of Outlaws Dirt Racing. It's now available on Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, and PS5. For more information on the game, worldofoutlawsgame.com is the place to go for that. We have 2 last chance showdowns coming up, and look who's starting on the pole of this one, Ashton, our former sprint car champion, Aiden Forster.
Yep, you said it. Aiden Forster will roll off from the pole position. Jordan Casey in the 42 machine on his outside. James Eden, another good sprint car driver, will roll off from the inside of row number 2 with Austin Missler on his outside. Jesse Enterkin and Braden Carter will make up row number 3. Row 4 sees Cody Nevin on the inside and Caleb Durgan on the outside, and Bradley Cox will start shotgun on this field. Tim, wow, this is an insane mix of drivers that we have here. And keep in mind, we only take 2. So everyone's going to be vying for those front 2 positions, and it's going to be hard to beat the one sitting on the front row right now.
Definitely going to be difficult as we go for 2 last chance showdowns. 12 laps each. We'll take the top 2 and move them on to the feature. Our feature race this evening, we're running late models, so it's a 50-lap green flag feature. And the green flag laps count. We will have caution periods in the feature. If you're in this last chance showdown, you don't want to be caught in the mess, because you are going to be sitting in the trailer watching this feature that is about to be coming up. We're going to come to 1 to green this time, and I think the inside line as we look at the qualifying points, you mentioned it earlier, so qualifying, those top 8 that locked in directly that didn't have to run a heat race, they get points. Your heat races that we just saw, those 3 heat races, they get championship points as well. Obviously a little bit less than what the guys got when they qualified directly in. And then the main feature, everybody in the feature gets points all the way down to 21st. So heat races, qualifying, definitely important when it comes to not only transferring into the feature, Ashton, but also getting the championship that we have coming up. That's $10,000 to win.
At $10,000 and a host of other great things. You get to take a trip to Volusia Speedway Park. I was just there last week. It was a great facility, and you get to be crowned with an official World of Outlaws trophy on top of many, many other things. But I can tell you right now, these drivers are ready to rip for 12 laps.
Pace truck getting ready to peel off, and we're getting ready to go racing as Aiden Forster's on the hammer. Green flag flies. We are underway for Last Chance Showdown number 1 from Williams Grove, and we are going to take the top 2 in, and James Edens wants to be in the top 2 as you see one going to the extreme outside, and this is a great battle, Ashton. They're trying to get into position, but the 4-car going backwards, not a good sign for him.
Not at all, and you said it a little bit earlier on, but everyone is pretty much choosing the inside line now, and it's working for Forrester and Casey. Actually, as I say that, Forrester's the one that chooses the outside, and that kind of gives Casey the little bit of chance there to run to his inside as the battle for the lead is heating up.
Yeah, battle for the lead. Aiden Forster trying to hold off Jordan Casey in the 42. We'll take the top 2 as you ride on board with the outside line, and you see that is the only red car that is on the outside, at least trying to make up positions, and that is Cody Nevin from Michigan, trying to make up a couple more spots, but it's got to get up there to those top 2 positions who are starting to get a little bit racy for that lead.
Yeah, they most certainly are. Just a tenth separates the lead. Cody Nevin up in the fluff just a little bit, but seems to be making it work. Sits in 6th position right now, and you see quite far out ahead of him. The battle for the front is heating up. Forster and Casey looks like they're side by side. Now take a look at the back half of the field. They're still riding on board with Cody Nevins.
And there are your 2 leaders, the 20 of Forster, the 42 of Jordan Casey, and here comes that 52 of James Edens. Remember back to week number 1, Ashton, it was the 52 on the wrong side of the inch. He was on the outside looking in for the feature as the 42 of Casey up the racetrack. Forster dives it back down, and Forster will get back to the lead. This time by will cross the stripe and be halfway home. Here's the guy that needs to move, James Edens in the 52, the veteran of both the late model and the sprint car pro series on iRacing. He's already missed 1 show this season. Can't really afford to miss another one, Ashton.
He cannot at all. You look at him, really dicey there on the steering wheel as he's driving the super late model around Williams Grove Speedway, looking for something else, and side by side with Casey, but falling back just a little bit here. Not much times remain. He's going to pick the top side with Forrester here.
Casey's trying to get by the 20 of Forster. A little bit of a bobble down the back straightaway that time. Here comes Edens down to the bottom, and here comes the 5 of Carter trying to make something happen as well. 4 cars will take the top 2 into the feature, trying to figure it out amongst themselves. They've got a little gap back to Cody Nevin and the rest of this field. Forster continues to go up to that second groove in 1 and 2. Casey's bottom feeding, going to throw the slider down into turn number 3. Forster going to get back there to the bottom side as they go side by side for the lead with 3 to go.
3 laps remain, and Forrester is current your leader. Casey, Edens, and Carter right on that back bumper. Forrester to the high side. Let's see if this gives Casey something to do here. They are still side by side, both picking the bottom. Oh, bobble out of Casey there. That is going to hurt him in his battle for the lead, and also open the door for James Eden, who is now right on the back bumper of the 42 machine.
Edens went to the outside a couple laps ago, but now to the inside and almost 3 wide as they battle for the lead in Last Chance Showdown number 1. The 52 with James Edens might have to muscle his way a little bit around as Jordan Casey falls out of a transfer position and trying to make it happen, play a little bit of defense to keep the 5 of Carter behind and get the offense that he needs on this final lap to get by. Edens up in the fluff, and he is going to lose positions number 2 and 3, and just like that, a rare mistake at a James Edens going to cost him a transfer position. Checkered flag coming out is going to go to Aiden Forster. They are racing hard behind them for that final transfer position and give it to Jordan Casey. Casey, who was on the inside for most of that, fell out with about 2 laps to go and got that spot back when James Edens had his moment down in turn number 1 and 2. Carter, Edens, Durgan, Enterkin, Nevin, Missler, and Cox are all going to miss the show. They will have to come back next week, starting tomorrow, to try to qualify at Lincoln Speedway with the sprint car to make their way back into the World of Outlaws Pro Series powered by iRacing in 1 week time. That was an exciting finish.
It was, and your heart breaks for James Edens there. One little bobble and the wrong time to do it ends his night. But we have another last chance showdown. We'll take the top 2, and here is going to be who is starting it from the pole position. Connor New in the 10 machine, Trey Mills in the 14 on his outside. Row 2 seeds Tucker Elkins and Adam Elby. Row number 3 has Tanner Whitmire and Jesse Newsome. Row 4 on the inside, Scott Fritz in the 48 machine and Tyler Orr in the number 3 car on his outside. And starting in row number 5 will be Aiden Price in the 49 machine. Tim, we talked about it earlier. Row 4, Scott Fritz, newcomer here with the World of Outlaws Pro Series, but he had a lot of speed in qualifying. So hopefully by now he maybe has gotten this track figured out and is hopefully able to make up a couple positions. And like I said earlier, we only take the top 2. Last chance for these guys to get in. It's going to be an interesting 12 laps.
You've got some drivers that are on the edge. They've got to go. They've got to pick up some positions to make this happen. And for some of them, they are new to this Pro Series. With this qualifying format, Ashton, we're seeing some new drivers here. The drivers that do continue to qualify and accumulate championship points, we kind of touched on it earlier, $10,000 to win, to pay some cash all the way back through the top 10. And per race, 300, 200, and 100. Qualifying at a premium. We see it earlier this evening. That's going to be big when we give out the top 3 a little bit later on. And the series champion will be recognized at Dirt Car Nationals at Volusia. But Ashton, there's a little bit more to that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of big things given away to the winner, and also including a World of Outlaws official trophy. That's something that everyone wants to take home with them. So lots of big things given away. They also get a check presentation during pre-race stage ceremonies at Dirt Car Nationals. So a lot of drivers are going to be wanting that championship at the end of the year.
Field beginning to roll in this one, and when you look at this field, I look at Tucker Elkins and I look at Adam Elby, row number 2. Going to be tough to beat when you look at guys that have been involved in this series and the sprint car side of things with the pro division. Those 2 are names that you kind of circle as I've got to beat those guys. And right now, Connor New and Trey Mills in front of this field in those transfer positions are going to have the unenviable task of trying to hold off Tucker Elkins and Adam Elby. First time we've seen Adam Elby this season, Ashton, but no stranger to the World of Outlaws Pro Series when it comes to late models and sprint cars.
Yeah, he's going to be one to watch for sure. The other thing to keep your eye on is how dominant the bottom side of this racetrack has been so far tonight. So these drivers, obviously on the inside row, are going to have a clear advantage. We'll see what those outside guys can do to hurry up and get down with only 12 laps as they make their way through the corners and are waiting the green flag.
We kind of saw it off that last shot, Ashton, and you kind of mentioned it. It's taking some rubber down into turn number 1, especially when you're going down into the corner on the bottom groove. We'll see a little bit of that as well down into turn number 3 here, and you start to see that groove kind of on the second groove. You see the front row kind of trying to get a little bit of piece of that too as they get ready to come to green. It is Connor New in the 10 and lead this field green. Final last chance showdown is underway.
Connor New with a great initial start there, and craziness happening towards the middle of this pack right now. Everyone sliding, everyone driving these race cars as hard as they can to try to get up to those front 2 positions. The number 8 machine opting for the high side, and it's not working for him right now. Wow, lots of sliding happening throughout this field right now. We're just 1 lap into his last chance showdown.
Scott Fritz was on the pole position for his heat race, did not really make it a full lap in that top 3 in his heat race, and you see that blue and white and black 48 kind of third back there in that shot, trying to make something happen. He's kind of in the middle. It's almost 3 as they work their way around turn number 3 and 4 that last time by. It's Connor New and Trey Mills in the top 2, and then everybody else, Ashton, in this shot fighting for an earlier spot to the trailer, but trying to get a little bit of track position. There's Adam Elby in the 74 just ahead of Scott Fritz. Fritz trying to make his way back up to the front of the field.
As we ride along with Scott Fritz, you see all the commotion happening right ahead of him. New and Mills far ahead, and they're also opting for the high side now. Whoa, trouble here in the back half. Everyone's shuffling around and getting loose, and wow, this is turning out to be quite the race, Tim.
There's not a whole lot of respect, I don't think, Ashton, being shown with some of these drivers at the back of the field, trying to get into the door, trying to do these sliders and not really paying off. But what do you really got to lose if you're running back here in 5th and 6th? You got to try something, right?
You're going to give it everything you can to try to make it up into those top two. Just under halfway done. New and Mills still leading this field, single file, both choosing the same line. The 87 of Elkins tries to make something on the bottom work, and just as I say that, Mills is starting to close that gap between him and New in the corners. Looks like he's about to run there in the corners. He's going to pick the top side this time, and New off of the middle. Oh, a little bobble there out of New. We'll see if this opens the door for Mills with 6 laps down.
The good news for this pair, Ashton, is that they have a little bit of a gap as Trey Mills goes for the lead on Connor New, and down to the bottom side will pick up the position. But this battle here is for position number 5. They are going hard at it, but they need to make up some time and make up some time quickly because they're over 2 seconds back. There's a nice shot of the gap down the straightaway between this battle and the battle for the lead as New and Mills continue to go at it. And we got one up in the wall. That's Fritz back at the back of the field as you ride on board for Jesse Newsom.
We're looking at the back half of this field right now. Craziness happening all over the place, and News and Mills are way out ahead. Over a second difference between those front two and third place of Elkins right now. As we ride here with Elkins and Whitmore as they put the pressure on each other for the third position, but only 4 laps remain. Third is not going to be enough. You have to get into the top 2. You have to catch up to Connor New and Trey Mills.
Yeah, if you're Tanner Whitmire, you've got to get by, but you almost had to get by about 2 or 3 laps ago because you're over a second in behind your top 2 of New and Mills. But by the way, they're racing up in front. This might be a de facto battle for the lead if something does go sour in front of them. They come by this time with 2 laps to go. You continue to watch the battle for third as Elkins and Whitmire going at it.
Gonna ride along with Trey Mills here, who currently sits in the 2nd position. Seeing that great battle for third as it is heating up, but still not enough time for Elkins and Whitmire to do something unless there's a major bobble out of Mills and New. And just as I say that, Mills to the to the front position, and just as I say that, Connor New switches back. Final lap, one more trip around Williams Grove Speedway, and Slider. See if they can make something happen here. Side by side to finish, and it's going to be the 10 machine takes home the win. Wow, Tim, that was quite the battle there.
Indeed it was, and Connor New going to pick up the checkered flag in that one and head to the feature with a starting position at the back. Trey Mills also going to join him there. Tanner Whitmire first on the outside looking in. Adam Elby, Jesse Newsom, Tyler Orr, Scott Fritz, Tucker Elkins, and Aiden Price. That concludes qualifying for this evening's round number 3. We will have 50 laps coming at you. Coming up next.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing 24 is available now.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Williams Grove, round number 3 of the World of Outlaws Pro Series, powered by iRacing. Field has been decided. We've got 50 laps set to come for the feature just in a few moments. Ashton, the field is waiting for the track to open. As you can see on your screen, there wasn't a rework after the qualifying, so we did see some great racing there, especially at the end of those LCSs.
Yeah, we did, and it's going to make things interesting going into this 50-lap feature as well. Heat race is done. Last chance showdown is now time for the feature race. But before we do that, let's take a look at the racetrack we were at this week, Williams Grove Speedway. We've already seen it. Lots of different driving styles here, I guess you could say, as they maneuver their way around this tight paperclip. And here we have the track map here. You can see exactly how much of a paperclip it is. It's located in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, half mile in length. It opened back in 1939, and yes, it's home of the National Open. We talked to him a little bit earlier on. The late model feature winner last year, Blake Majulis, picked up his heat race win, and I believe he'll be rolling off from the 9th position later on tonight. But Williams Grove Speedway, a great one. It's been an exciting night so far here.
Indeed it has. The final couple of moments getting ready to unfold for the warm-up session. Ashton, they get 60 seconds to kind of work in this racetrack and see what they have. As we take a look at the highlights, we had some really great racing in these heat races and last chance showdowns.
Yeah, we most definitely did. You see there, Scott Fritz, we talked about, started on the pole position, got shuffled back. Blake Majulis, of course, being so strong in his heat race. Well, Evan C. won the quick time earlier on, but he will have to start from the 8th position. Lots of commotion happening all around Williams Grove Speedway. We've also seen so many different lines on this racetrack open up as well. 50 laps is a long time, so we'll see how this track reacts as well when these late models get running on it.
And not saying that we didn't see any action and excitement in the sprint cars last week in heat races. We've seen some close racing. We haven't seen anybody kind of cross over to that inch and cause what would be a huge issue. We saw Fritz have that little bit of a moment in his heat race, but we'll take a look at the championship points as they run. This is after qualifying, and you factor in everything starting position-wise, and Kendall Tucker up in front with Blake Majulis, Logan Rumsey just in behind Mike Augustine and Dylan Yeager. And Ashton, you see those drivers that are starting to make these races. Trying to make 3 is difficult with this qualifying format, but the guys that have done it are near the front of the field when it comes to the driver standings.
Yeah, just getting in the show each and every single week is going to be the biggest task for these guys. Very few have made it every single week. We still got lots of hard tracks ahead of us, so we'll see how these points shake out for the rest of the 2024-2025 season.
And all that's left to run, Ashton, is 50 laps around Williams Grove with, look at that, it's going to be hard to beat that 33.
Yeah, Evan C. from the pole position at 33 machine. Robbie Buchanan Jr. out of Tazewell, Tennessee, will roll off of the outside of front of row number 1. Row number 2 sees Logan Rumsey on the inside with Hayden Tolson out of Majulis Speed Shop on the outside. Ryan Avila, no stranger here from Lenmore, California, in the inside of row number 3 with Chase Barbara from Ponchatoula, Louisiana on the outside of row number 3. Row number 4 will see Stephen Gaines on the inside and J.D. Brown, the Bakersfield, California driver, on the outside.
And that is how they qualified, Ashton. So you're going to take J.D. Brown, Stephen Gaines, and move them to the front. Chase Barbara Ryan Avila, Hayden Tolson, Logan Rumsey, Robbie Buchanan Jr., and Evan C. will be your top 8. So that was how they qualified. Flip them and go backwards and move the top 8 in. But there's the field as we get ready to roll them off. And J.D. Brown in the 14, Stephen Gaines in the 07 to the outside, and the rest of the field in to follow.
Yeah, lots of heavy hitters in this field as well. We see Joey Lindgren, lots of passes, and he really seemed to have that one machine figured out. Kendall Tucker, another one that we've seen really figured out. But something that, Tim, you got to get figured out is you have to check out this biggest iRacing sale of the year. 50% off all new memberships and 25% off early renewals and reactivations. It's one you do not want to miss, and it's happening now through December 2nd. Just go to iRacing.com/Black Friday to take part in this amazing deal.
Ashton, you know me, I'm already on it. I've already had my renewal. I'm up for, I think, until like 2026 or 2027. So get in there if you haven't already and be prepared for what is to come. There's plenty of racing to do, whether you're a dirt fan, whether you want to go on the asphalt, you want to do some road racing, whatever the case may be, you can find your niche on iRacing as the field rolls off with J.D. Brown, Stephen Gaines on the front row, Chase Barbara, Ryan Avila, Hayden Tolson, Logan Rumsey, Robbie Buchanan Jr., Evan C., Blake Majulis, Ethan Johnson, Dylan Yeager, Casey Brunson, Dylan Hauser, Joey Lindgren, Kendall Tucker, Mike Augustine, Tanner Pettit, Aiden Forrester, Connor New, Jordan Casey, and Trey Mills your field as we get ready to go green for 50 green flag laps.
Going to be an exciting one for sure. Keep your eye on the 127 machine of Blake Majulis rolling off from the 9th position. Last year's winner here. He's got this racetrack figured out, so I wouldn't expect him to make a hard charge through the field. But you look at the front row, J.D. Brown, Stephen Gaines. It's going to be a great race right off the start for all 50 laps.
Keep your eye on that black 41 of Logan Rumsey, the first race of the season that we did have for the late models. He went to victory lane. Going to try to do it one more time. Our week number 2 winner is also in the field at Tanner Pettit, but he's going to have to work all the way back from position number 17. Field is in command of J.D. Brown in car number 14. Brown has made the first 2 features so far this season, looking to put a third on the board and do it in style and put it in victory lane. Field getting ready to see the green flag, and they are on it. 50 laps from Williams Grove, and we're underway.
Green flag out in the field, goes into turn 1s and 2. Great shot there. Still double file most of the way around. Everyone making every groove on this racetrack work right now. We already have a battle up front. The 14 machine to the point right now. He's got some competition up there, Tim.
And Chase Barbara in the 23, going to try to move up and pick up a couple of positions here. Going to move to position number 2 and look for the lead down to the inside of J.D. Brown as they exit corner number 2. Look at this, 3 wide, stacked about 2 deep in the middle of the field. J.D. Brown going to hold on to the lead for the time being, but he is being chased down by Chase Barbara and the rest of this field. Stephen Gaines trying to make something happen in the 07.
3 running there, a little bit different than what I was expecting. Honestly, the 07 picks to the inside, the 23 the outside. Everyone else double file behind him. Lots of drivers fighting for lots of positions right now, but like we've said, the top 3 are the ones that get the pay at the end of tonight, so that's the position you want to be in right now. As Gaines goes to the inside of Barbara, trying to make something happen and pick up that 2nd position, but J.D. Brown looking so strong in front of this field, 3 laps down.
We haven't seen some of these drivers this evening. Obviously, Ashton, they qualified through a single car qualifying. Chase Barbara finished 4th on the Wednesday qualifier to get his way into this show. He had to pass some cars. Started 17th in that race, worked all the way up to position number 4. That was enough points to get himself into the feature to the top split in the 2nd night. But doesn't really have to make up that whole lot of time. Currently in position number 2 and can kind of relax a little bit and not have to drive through the field. Speaking about driving through the field, though, you see Evan C. in the 33 trying to get back up there. Qualified number 1. Invert puts him back to 8th, and now he's got Logan Rumsey ahead of him. He's got Ryan Avila there as well in the 49 on the right-hand or left-hand side of your shot. And we said earlier, Avila's kind of a sprint car guy. Got to see him back in the series last week after missing the show on week number 1 as you ride on board with Evan C. down to the bottom side. Trying to get there. Look at Chase Barbara trying to make that move on Gaines for position number 2.
Battles happening all over this racetrack right now. Still riding on board with Evan C., who sits in the 7th position, trying to chase down Logan Rumsey just ahead of him. And right to the inside, looks like the 49 machine. Lots of battles. That's at Ryan Avila to the inside of this group right here. JD Brown so strong ahead of him. While action's happening everywhere else, Barbara and Gaines side by side for the 2nd position.
And I don't want to jinx it, but it's been fairly clean so far in this one. Barbara picks up position number 2, Gaines in behind him, and now going to be beside him is Stephen Gaines, going to look for position number 2. Evan C. continues to work his way towards the front of the field. He's got Logan Rumsey just ahead of him. Ryan Avila to the bottom side. Avila will lose that position, move Evan C. into the top 5, and trying to get a little bit more battle for second. They continue to cross each other over in that runner-up position as Gaines takes it for the time being. Chase Barber going to try to get back to the bottom side.
Look at Logan Rumsey and how strong he's looking right now around Williams Grove Speedway, up to the 4th position, waiting to make that move on Chase Barber here. Definitely a late model guy. Picked up the first late model win earlier on this year, and he's proven that right now, looking so strong. 8 laps down, and Evan C. right on the back bumper of Rumsey. This is a strong field of drivers right now. We are only 11 laps into this thing. Lots of time for some things to happen.
We've seen some strong performances in this series from J.D. Brown, and I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse, Ashton, but almost a 1.5 seconds ahead of Stephen Gaines and the rest of this field. As you look down to the bottom side, you ride on board with Ryan Avila looking back at that battle. In behind him, Tolleson trying to get up here. Ethan Johnson after his heat race earlier, trying to make up a couple of spots. Blake Majulis and Hauser right in behind, as well as you see that black 127 trying to make a move. And just behind them, Tolleson in the 327 trying to make something happen behind Ryan Avila. J.D. Brown is out in front of this field, and he's got a 1.25 seconds or so between himself and Stephen Gaines. Chase Barber, that battle continues on for position number 2.
Brown, Barbara, Gaines, Rumsey, C, your top 5 right now. And we just finished our riding on board with Ryan Avila, who sits in the 6th position as the 11 machine Johnson goes to the extreme high side of this racetrack. Tim, we talked about it earlier. We said 50 laps is a long time, and we've really seen the extreme top side of Williams Grove Speedway work in, and right now Ethan Johnson is making it work as he rides along in the 8th position.
We saw this in the qualifiers earlier in the week as well, Ashton, as you see Tolleson on the outside. I'm going to take a little bit of a hit from Johnson there in car number 11 as they continue to race on for that position just behind Ryan Avila in the 49. Saw it in the qualifiers. Your top couple of drivers get single file. They're content to ride. Pick off a couple of positions where you can. The guys in the middle to the back of the pack feel like they have to make their way towards the front of the field, and they may be a little more aggressive early. As we continue to work around the Williams Grove Speedway, let's go full throttle. Continues to be the 14 at J.D. Brown up in front of the field with Gaines in second. And Ashton, before that full throttle, we kind of saw the second group a little bit closer. There's that shot right there where Gaines is starting to get a little bit of a gap on Chase Barbara and the rest of the field. But oh, by the way, Logan Rumsey trying to get back up into the top 3. You're watching the 327 of Tolleson to the bottom side. Dylan Hauser, Robbie Buchanan Jr. in the 31 trying to make something happen in behind. But even these drivers, with the exception of Ryan Avila and Johnson, and now these guys go 3 wide, they were single file for a couple of laps there, trying to log some laps as we get closer to the halfway point.
22 laps down. JD Brown still looking so strong in the battle. A little bit farther back in the field right now as we ride on board with Hayden Tolleson in that 327 machine, who now sits in 10th. Looks like he's struggling a little bit in a big slider we just saw in front of him by Hauser, but not able to make the stick as Tolleson slides into that 9th position. Blake Majulis right in front of him, and Tolleson's going to choose, or excuse me, he's going to throw that slider as well. He's going to slide to the top side of that racetrack, and Blake Majulis making that bottom work, something that not a lot of these drivers are able to do. So we'll see what Blake Majulis has, and Hauser back in this mix as well.
And there's Tanner Pettit. You're right on board with the 24 from Chico, California, who was our winner 1 week ago, and great in the sprint cars. We've seen it so many times before in the last couple of seasons, Ashton, but maybe not necessarily as sharp when it comes to the late model. That's what's going to make this World of Outlaws Pro Champion so good, but both disciplines being run as you ride on board with Robbie Buchanan Jr. in the 31, the Tennessee driver trying to make up some ground, and these guys might be starting to get a little more aggressive as we cross the halfway point.
25 laps down, 25 to go, still riding on board with Robbie Buchanan Jr. as we're looking behind that racing machine, that 31. And now let's ride on board the second place driver right now, Stephen Gaines in the 07 machine, starting to create a little bit of a gap between him and Chase Barbara, who we saw earlier on in the feature, fighting so hard. And right behind him, Logan Rumsey and Ethan Johnson, Blake Majulis starting to come into the picture as well. Evan C. Lots of strong drivers right behind Stephen Gaines, but Stephen looks so calm, cool, and collected behind that racing machine as they click off laps around Williams Grove Speedway. But Gaines is in second. JD Brown is the man in the winning position right now. Him 2.5 lead on second place.
Continues to be JD Brown up in front as you ride on board with Jordan Casey. Had some time to work his way through the heat and the last chance showdown, and currently in 17th with a lot of traffic in front of him. You see Kendall Tucker up there, right up the top in the red, white, and blue 00 car. He's been trying to fight his way through the field as well. Kendall Tucker picked up a couple of positions, but still has some work to do in that 00, one of our championship contenders this season. Chase Barbara in the 23 is currently your third place position. You see Ethan Johnson in the 11. He has moved a couple of positions up from 10th Ashton to position number 5 and still got some work to do. But there's Chase Barbara just ahead. Stephen Gaines in position number 2 as we start to see some traffic in the back of the field. I don't want to jinx it, Ashton. 20 laps to go. We haven't seen a caution flag yet. These drivers are putting on a great show, but you would have to think these guys are going to start making their way through as you follow the field through 3 wide down into the corner.
Getting crazy in the back half of the field right now, and just as we say that, the number 1 machine of Joey Lindgren off the pace there a little bit is going to fall back. Still 3 wide here. Wow, lots of commotion happening. You see how wide this racing surface here at Williams Grove Speedway has gotten, and that gives these drivers lots of opportunities to try to throw a slagger, to try to make the pass, try to find something where their super late model works around this speedway. 19 laps down.
And Kendall Tucker came into this evening as your championship point leader, and he's trying to battle with Dylan Hauser at the top of this shot for position number 9. So plenty to look at, plenty to track as we go through the final 18 laps of this event. Continues to be JD Brown up in front. You look back from the 14, and that's one of the greatest sights in motorsports. If you're the leader, Ashton, no pressure from behind, 2.5 seconds the advantage.
Yeah, JD Brown, cool, calm, and collected at the front of this field, and he's been gaining a 10th a lap in the past 3 laps. 17 laps to go. You know, JD Brown, Chase Barbara, and the rest of the field has a long way to make up, and I'm sure lap traffic might start playing a factor here in these next 17 laps if we stay green. So we'll see how that affects JD Brown. Now as we say that, here's a little bit farther back in the field as battles are still happening everywhere, and Tim.
And that might be our caution. They keep it. They knock each other straight. We're still green flag racing.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Craziness happening in the back half here, and one goes around. We're still green for right now, but I would imagine if that goes back out, we go 3 wide down the backstretch. We saw someone completely lose their deck. It's getting crazy here with only 15 laps to go.
41 of Logan Rumsey. You see the 11 of Ethan Johnson. Johnson moved 5 spots up in the grid, but really hasn't been able to make any more ground since Ashton. He's continuing to look down to the bottom side. FNC right there. That was close coming out of turn number 4, but the 11 of Johnson kind of hit the proverbial wall when he got to 5th. He hasn't been able to move and make any positions in the last few laps. Logan Rumsey holding him off, and then Chase Barbara, the final podium position right now, up for grabs as we'll come by this time to 13 to go.
J.D. Brown's gains, Barbara, Rumsey, Johnson, your top 5 right now. As we take a look at this battle happening right now, we're also take a look at the replay of what just happened when it got really squirrely there. Everyone sliding up to the top. That orange machine up into the wall just got turned and sent around. It was able to save it, surprisingly. We see the deck coming off of one of those racing machines as well, 4 wide. Wow, what a cluster that was. They were able to smooth it out pretty well.
Yeah, that was not a lap that Dylan Hauser's going to be proud of in that 2 car, going from the top 10 all the way out to the back. Hauser currently runs 19th in the final few laps of this one. They'll come by this time with 11 laps remaining. Chase Barbara continues to hold on to 3rd. Johnson still trying to move, but there's really no way to get by the 41 of Logan Rumsey unless he absolutely sends it for that position right on the back, looking down to the bottom side. Kind of has that bumper there, but can't do anything with it. Barbara slaps the wall at turn number 4, opens the door for Logan Rumsey. Rumsey's week number 1 winner, gonna go to position number 3. Can Barbara get back to the bottom side? Sure he can, side by side for the final podium position.
Only 10 laps to go. This is when you start pushing these racing machines harder than you've seen, and that's exactly what Logan Rumsey is doing right now as we battle with the race for 3rd. Barbara, Rumsey, Johnson, C, all in this. Logan Rumsey to the inside of Chase Barbara here, both sliding up the racing surface, and that opens the door for the 11 machine of Johnson, 3 wide.
Who is going to take the final podium spot as they continue to race? There goes Johnson. Couldn't make any moves, Ashton, for the last dozen laps or so, but that one was pretty sporty. He picks up position number 3, but not for long. Here comes Logan Rumsey back to the bottom side. Rumsey in the black number 41, trying to get back on the podium, and Evan C doing Evan C things, trying to get back into the top 3, kind of laying in wait a little bit. Chase Barbara, who ran in that 3rd place position for several laps, now under fire from the former Pro Series champion in Evan C.
Ethan Johnson leads this group around as Evan C starts to fall back there just a little bit, not the corner that he wanted. Logan Rumsey, Chase Barbara there, but C able to save it on the inside there. Chase Barbara looked to peek into the inside and make it 3 wide, but not able to get it done. Slides up into the wall just a little bit there. Ethan Johnson still leading this group. 6 laps to go, and they're starting to fall back as Ethan Johnson takes the extreme high side.
Johnson trying to make something happen. Logan Rumsey trying to get back to the bottom side of this one. Top 2 have broken away. J.D. Brown, haven't talked much about him in the last 20 laps or so, but he's got almost 3 seconds on the rest of the field. They'll come to 5 laps to go. You ride on board with Chase Barbara currently in 6th. He's got the top 3 in sights. Stephen Gaines not too far up the road, and J.D. Brown is gone.
Over 3-second lead for J.D. Brown right now with only 5 laps to go. That's the exact position you want to be in. And I'm sure you have one happy driver behind the 14 machine as we ride on board with Chase Barbara. You see this battle for the 3rd. It's been the one we've been talking about all night. 4 laps to go. It's starting to get calmed down just a little bit here. Ethan Johnson, Logan Rumsey, Evan C, and Chase Barbara starting to fall back from this group.
And hard to believe, Ashton, but that is J.D. Brown's view, and he's starting to see some lap traffic brewing up ahead of him. They've got 3 laps to get it done. I don't think the lap traffic's going to cause them a whole lot of trouble. That's Trey Mills up the road in the 14, and then the 2 with Dylan Hauser, who had his moment earlier. They'll come by this time, Ashton, to see 2 laps to go.
2 laps left for this stack of cars that we've been talking about all night to get something done, to try to pass the 11 machine of Ethan Johnson. Evan C. Chase Barbara, you see here Logan Rumsey following right behind the 11 machine of Ethan Johnson. We does not know if he has enough time, and just as I say that, looks like Ethan Johnson here has found another car in front of him, and that's going to be the 07 machine of Gaines in the final lap.
Final lap as the leader works down the back straightaway for the final time. It's been a long time coming for J.D. Brown, but he will find his way to victory lane in round number 3 of the World of Outlaws Pro Series powered by iRacing. Your winner, you can see the smile on his face, is J.D. Brown. Wire to wire, 50 laps led, and picks up a checkered flag in this one, and that is huge towards the championship. Stephen Gaines and Ethan Johnson are going to be your top 3, and Ashton, there's a guy that's been involved in this series for several seasons. Always good to see the veterans pick up a win, especially those that haven't picked up a win in a very long time. The number 14 getting ready to light it up here.
Yeah, and it's well earned. You saw it, big smiles on J.D. Brown's face, and we'll get to talk to him in just a couple moments. And it was an exciting battle there, especially that third battle we focused on a long time. But like we said, Ethan Johnson is going to pick up the payday, and we'll take a look at the results here. J.D. Brown, Stephen Gaines, Ethan Johnson, top 3. Logan Rumsey comes home with a 4th place finish. Evan C. in 5th, Chase Barbara 6th, Blake Majulis 7th, Kendall Tucker in 8th, Connor New 9th, and Ryan Avila in 10th.
Finishing in 11th is Mike Augustine. Hayden Tollison finishes in 12th. Joey Lindgren in 13th. Jordan Casey 14th. Aiden Forster in 15th. Tanner Pettit, last week's winner, comes home in 16th. Robbie Buchanan Jr. in 17th. Dylan Hauser 18th. Trey Mills in 19th. And Dylan Yeager completes your top 20 with Casey Brunson out early after 2 laps in this event. Exciting race, but it was all behind, and for the most part, well behind. J.D. Brown in car number 14 picks up the win, and Ashton, you've caught up with one of the series veterans picking up this victory.
J.D. Brown, what a strong run. Green to checkered, you led every single lap. Big smile on your face when you crossed the checkered flag there. How excited are you about this win?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while and finally actually get a win, and it's my best. I've never even had a top 3, so getting the win's awesome. I've been running this series since 2020 at this point, so finally able to make it happen. Usually I'm just like a top 10 points guy, but managed to get the invert, started pole, and able to kind of execute and get the win there.
You just said it, you're usually a points guy. Obviously, it's early in the season, but points still matter. How are you going to use this win to kind of catapult you into the rest of the season and use this momentum to hopefully pick up some more wins this year?
Yeah, we're just trying to points race for the most part, just trying to make every show. Last week, unfortunate, kind of got wrecked on lap 3 with the kind of invert how it kind of went. So I was unfortunate, but hopefully we just kind of keep getting good runs to going every single week, make the show, and just try to get top 5s, top 10s every week to get up there in points.
Well, big congratulations on your win. Go celebrate, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
J.D. Brown, everyone picked up the win here tonight, and we'll also talk to 2nd place finisher here, Stephen Gaines. Hard fought run. What more did you think you need to get that win?
Just thought there at the end we shouldn't have raced as hard as we did with Barb and try to stick with JD a little bit harder. Got a little damage at the front, so it slowed us down overall towards the end of that race, and it was a great win by JD. He did everything right. Just so proud of my guys that got me here.
Well, big congratulations on a 2nd place run, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Can I thank my sponsors real quick?
Go for it.
Just want to thank Matthew Watts at Fusion for everything. Dude works day and night for everything, and NLRA, all my guys over there at NLRA, they work all the time, every day. And UDTV puts on great shows, and thank y'all for putting this on. This is awesome.
Well, thank you, and congratulations. Stephen Gaines with 2nd place run, and rounding out the podium tonight, Ethan Johnson. We talked to you earlier on after a heat race win. Wow, was that an exciting battle? Tell us what was going through your head as you swapped with all those guys there and you took home the podium finish.
Yeah, I knew I had to get up there early on. I didn't think there'd be much passing late in the race, and everything kind of fell our way. We moved up at the right time, and Barb and Rumsey were battling in front of me. I thought that was going to slow me down, but luckily we made quick work of them and came home with the top 3.
Congratulations on the podium finish.
Thank you.
Ethan Johnson rounds out the podium tonight, and Tim, wow, that was an exciting race and one very happy J.D. Brown.
Yeah, it's good to see J.D. Brown pick up the victory. Kendall Tucker still coming with the point lead as we get ready to move on to next week. And Ashton, we're back in the sprint cars.
Yes, we are. We're back in the sprint cars at Lincoln Speedway for a 35-lap feature to kick off the rest of the season. But make sure that you tune in, or if you have a Dirt A class license, to take part in the qualifying efforts this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, to come try to join us for Lincoln Speedway, 35 laps in sprint cars.
Yeah, be sure to get at it. Starts tomorrow night at 8 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Get in and see if you can win with these guys on Monday evenings. And our next one comes up next Monday on December 2nd. That is going to do it for us here this evening. Congratulations to J.D. Brown on his first World of Outlaws Pro Series victory, powered by iRacing. On behalf of Ashton Smythe and our entire crew, my name is Tim Terry. We will see you next Monday night when we say, let's go racing. Until then, keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.